Here we are, Light of Infinite Festival. Hope everyone is doing incredible. Let me share with you a quick little intro. Who I am, where I'm coming from. Real quick. Shalom. My name is Ellie Deutsch. I'm originally from a place called Teaneck, New Jersey. New Jersey was so amazing that I left. And I made the move to the Holy Land. And there I was, having made the move to the Holy Land, and I'm wandering around the streets of the old city of Jerusalem. And I bump into a few people I know from Toronto, Canada. And me and them get to talking. And with them, there was a number of other people. Me and them get to talking, and what do you know? To make a short story shorter, me and this gal end up getting hitched. And so it just goes to show you that some people go to the old city of Jerusalem for God, other people for the ladies. And since then, thank God, we've been blessed to live in a bunch of locations in Israel. We lived in a couple of years in Gush Etzion, a couple of years in Beersheba in the south, across the street from Ben Gurion University. We were involved with Jewish outreach on the campus there. And now, thank God, we're blessed to live for the last 15 years back in the old city of Jerusalem, living in a place overlooking the spot that we met. So that's a nice little tale, but not why I'm here talking to you today. What brings me here to talk to you today is that when I was growing up, and maybe some of y'all can relate to this. When I was growing up, anything I ever heard about Judaism was a lot about the what's of Judaism and the hows of Judaism, what to do, how to do it. But like, why on earth should I be involved in this? Why on earth should I care? Why on earth might this make a difference in my life? Somehow those whys were always passed over. And so growing up, this bothered me. And so when I had the opportunity, I wanted to check some of this Jewish stuff out for myself. So I went to Israel, started searching this stuff out, and this started out as a philosophical pursuit. You know, why do we believe in this? Why do we believe in that? But then ultimately, as I got some answers to these questions, it got a little bit more spiritual, right? And the whys moved from philosophical to spiritual. Why do we do this particular thing in this particular way? What difference does that really make? And so as I got some of those, as I got to delve into those questions, it led me to the teachings of Chassidut. It led me to the teachings of Kabbalah. And that's what I'm blessed to do now, is to give over a little bit of the whys of Judaism from a philosophical perspective as well as a Kabbalistic perspective. And so today with you, I was asked to share a little bit about this concept of joy and joy in our times. And we have a little issue going on with joy in our times. In case you haven't noticed, you would think that we would be more joyful as a society now than really pretty much any other time in history, as much as people like to complain. I mean, let's get real, right? We have running water, we got electricity. I mean, look at these gadgets we're talking on. I'm able to talk to anybody all over the world. It's insane, right? Here's the thing though, if I were to take some of these gadgets now, and I would bring all of these gadgets back 400 years ago, 500 years ago, now I would just show them there what we have now, they'd be like blown away. They'd be like, oh my God, the human race has finally made it. Everyone must live in utopia and be blissfully happy, right? And then we get here in the year 2022, right? And it's not like that, right? Matter of fact, quite the opposite. Things are a struggle for people. People are struggling specifically in this area of happiness. And so the question is raised, like, really, you'd think that things would be easier, things would be better. And so I think it's worthwhile to jump in to understand a little bit, like, what is going on here with joy in our society. It's insane. So I think if we want to understand a little bit more about joy and what brings joy and what makes us tick, and then hopefully we'll be able to understand what's going off kilter here, I think we can take a look at really what society has put in our minds and put in our hearts. Right? If you think about it, society has put in our heart and in our mind that our level of joy is a dependent. That it's dependent on how much stuff I get, on what I receive, on what I intake will determine my level of joy, right? Like if they put in the back of our minds this calculation that if only I had that blank, then I'd be happy. If only I had that girl, then I'd be happy. If only I had that guy, then I'd be happy. If only I had that job, if only I had that car, if only I had that six-figure income, if only I had those looks, if only I had that figure, if only I had that life, then I'd be happy. But what happens? Imagine one day you get one of these things. Imagine you get something big. Imagine you win the lottery. So yeah, of course, you're going to have a high from that. But even the psychologist will tell you that maximum, that high will last no longer than 6 weeks. Then you come down from that high and you're back in that same emotional state you were before, just with more money. So most of us are like, okay, yeah, I'd like to try that. Let's see. All right. But what that teaches us is that our level of joy is nothing about what it's not going to be determined by what I get. It's going to be determined by what I give forth. That yes, I do need to receive a certain amount of food, water, companionship in order to get by. But that's survival. That's not thriving. Real thriving is going to have nothing to do with what I get and only to do with what I give forth. And by giving forth, we don't mean give $1 to the guy in the street. That's very nice. Not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is real giving of self. Meaning, to the extent I clarify who I really am, what I'm really here for, what's the bigger picture in this world, and what's my place in it. And I actually start to live some of this stuff out in the nitty-gritty of my life. So it might not be easy. It might not be comfortable, but if I actually start to do this, if everything else is healthy, depressed I'm not going to be. Because I'm living out the inner essence of who and what I am into expression, into manifestation, into actualization. And really, this is what we mean. This is what we mean by joy, right? If we could put it all in a nutshell, we could say that joy is the experience of actualizing the reality of who you are, right? We'll say that one more time. That joy is the experience of actualizing the reality of who you are, right? That means to say, it's kind of like a seed, right? A seed includes the entire story of the tree in it already. And the quote-unquote yearning of any seed is to grow into the fullest fruition and fullest expression of what it already is inside, right? And so the wild thing is that once I understand what joy is all about, so I should also be able to figure out what sadness is all about, what depression again. And let's just be clear: when we're talking about depression, I'm not talking about some clinical idea. What I'm talking about is the epidemic of sadness and depression that the masses are dealing with in society today, right? So that's what I'm talking about, the feeling that people are having, right? So if I understand what joy is, I should be able to understand what depression is, right? So let's see. If joy is the experience of actualizing the reality of who you are, then depression is going to be the experience of not actualizing the reality of who you are, right? Let's explain this, right? So for example, imagine if a person doesn't really know which direction to go in, or if a person knows exactly where to go, but they keep finding themselves running in the opposite direction, right? And so that is going to lead to a person beginning to feel a certain loss of self within themselves, right? And so society has kind of given us another misconception, right? They've had this line out there that goes like this. I think it's from the 60s or the 70s, that goes, if it feels good, do it, right? However, that comes along with an implication, right? If it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it, right? And so what happens? What happens is like this. What happens when somebody in that who grows up in this society comes to 20 minutes of quote-unquote free time? What happens? So you tell me. In this society that has raised us, right? In the society in which we find ourselves in, your average Joe, what do? What is their go-to when they come to 20 minutes of free time? Right? Obviously, right? They start going like this to their phone, right? They start clicking on the next YouTube video, whatever it is, right? So they plop in their couch and they start scrolling, right? And of course, by the way, don't think they just start scrolling. The TV's on too, right? They got the remote, the TV is on, they're scrolling on the phone, right? And they're chilling and plopped in the couch, right? But think about it. When are you even more comfortable than when you are there plopped in the couch? Right? That would be when you're asleep in bed, right? Okay, and when are you even more at peace than when you're asleep? Right? Usually people answer when you're dead. And this is exactly the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that the society that has raised us has brainwashed us to believe that, to be in a mentality that if I want to get in touch with joy, my go-to becomes that I should get in touch with the thing that touches the thing that touches death, right? Because they put it into our mind, your go-to, you have time, go after the comfort, right? And let's just be clear, the Talmud, the Gemara itself says already that sleep is 1/60th of death. Never mind the number, but it means to say that that there's a flavor of death in sleep. Can we all feel that? That there's a flavor of death in sleep. All I'm adding here is that comfort is 1/60th of sleep. That there's a flavor of sleep in comfort. I think we can feel that, right? But then what that means is that comfort is 1/360th of death, right? And so when it becomes our go-to to go to that comfort thing, when we have the ability, when we still have energy and we're going to that, so think about what that does. I mean, think about it. You tell me, they have this phrase, killing time. Killing time. So think about it. How many moments in time must you kill before you start to feel a little bit dead inside? Right? How many moments in time must you kill before you start to feel like a dead man walking? Right? And so many of us are going through the experience where we go like this. We hold over here and we're like, I don't know. It says I'm alive. Why do I feel so not? Right? And so what we're sharing here, and you can even see this, by the way, by their view of paradise in the society that has raised us. Right? What's their view of paradise? They're, right? Person chilling on a white sandy beach. Someone else feeding you grapes. You got your little glass with the umbrella sticking out, right? And it's just like, I don't even have to move. Paradise. Well, if not moving is what you're after, death, that's when we're in that situation. All right, that's when people are in that situation. And so what that means is, if you think about it, so if we live in our life acting when we have any opportunity that we have to go ahead and make a free choice to do something, we have free time, whatever, and our go-to is to do the same thing that a dead person is doing to a certain extent, no surprise that we're starting to feel empty. No surprise that we're starting to feel a lack of life, a lack of vigor, a lack of things flowing, right? And so that means then that the remedy is going to be to turn things around. The remedy is going to be to get up and to get moving. And by the way, we even, right, everything I'm sharing with you, we intuit, right? When you see someone lethargic, when you see someone laying around not into things, out of it, right, kind of being down, our intuition is to like, get up, get this guy going, get this guy moving. We intuit already that the issue is a lack of moving forward, right? So this is really the remedy, right? The remedy, and again, we're talking about the epidemic of feelings of sadness or feelings of depression going on in society. We're not talking about any clinical extreme situation here, right? But what joy is going to be about is about actualizing the reality of who you are, right? And now people will sometimes say, well, hold on a second, what about, don't I need time to recharge, right? Don't I need time to recharge? What do you mean? I have to get up and move all the time? Well, yeah, you need time to recharge. We're not talking about that, right? Yes, assess how much time, what is the amount of time you need for sleep in order to achieve peak performance, right? And then on top of that, even if you want to enjoy yourself a little bit, great. Sleep and a little bit of entertainment, great, right? However, that's different than our go-to every moment we get is to decompress every moment that we get, right? To not move forward every moment that we get. So this is at the root of the issue at hand, right? And so that means that we need to be able to turn it around and say, okay, what is the bigger picture? What do I want to be? What do I want to be after? What do I want to be searching for, moving towards, right? And there's different layers upon which we can answer that question. There's the spiritual layer. There's our psychological and emotional level. There's, in terms of profession, there's physical, right? So spiritual at the top, right? At the top, we have the Jewish answers, right? The idea of God, the idea of Torah, the idea that this is the ultimate of what we're here for. And really what Judaism says is to take all of the other levels, right? Physical, emotional, psychological, and infuse them with Judaism and elevate them. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of those details now, and all of those layers now. But on the highest level is the level of spiritual, right? If I have time, if I'm have quote-unquote free time, let me be involved in the max, in that which truly matters, in that which truly goes on beyond this world. Okay, that's one idea. And how in line are we doing that? Are we following up in that, right? Are we actually doing it? So that's one. Another level down is, where are our emotional responses? Where are our psychological responses? Where am I holding with all of that? So you tell me, right? Everybody in their own level, but to the extent we can go ahead and become free from our different psychological shackles that we have been brought up with or born with, that begins to open us up to that is part of moving forward on our journey in this life on an emotional and psychological level, right? Then there's also professionally, right? Find something that speaks to me. And by the way, you don't always have to do that. There's finding something that speaks to you, and then there's also just, it's okay to just do something that pays the bills, and then use that money, be conscious of attaching it to something good, attaching it to something worthwhile, because then it makes the mundane meaningful, right? And then there's the physical level, right? Physical health, right? Can I go ahead and move? Am I moving forward on a physical level in terms of my physical health, in terms of working out, running, whatever it is, breathing? So all of these things have to do with us pushing forward, get outside of our comfort zone in order to go ahead and move forward in whatever the domain is that we're dealing with. Now, there's another question that people ask, well, hold on a second, what about me specifically? Is there anything unique to me? And of course, in Judaism and in Kabbalah, certainly, we talk about the idea that each person has their own tikkun. Each person has their own unique thing to do in order for them to achieve their unique goal, right? So for example, we talk about the Jewish goal, the big Jewish goal, right? Connecting to God, building our Jewish life. And that's awesome. But hold on, what about, do I have any unique thing to fulfill in that whole journey, right? Right, and of course in Judaism we say that you do, right? Everyone is unique, everyone is different, and therefore different strokes for different folks, different roles for different souls. therefore, people ask the question, all right, so how do I find what that is? And so I want to give you a couple of answers. These are both answers that are given by the Kabbalists. Answer number one, you know that thing that you're extra into? You know the thing, that good thing that you're extra gung-ho about, that you're extra push, everyone says like, hey, this is a good thing, they should do it. But then you're like, hold on a second, who the heck is they? I'm doing it. This is what it's all about. We got to do it. How can we not be doing this? We got to do it. And you go ahead and jump in and actually do it. Right? That's a good sign that at least for that moment, that is a good chances that is one of your things to be doing here in this world at that time. Right? Answer number two to what is our unique goal, or what is our unique purpose, what is our unique tikkun. You know that thing that everyone probably has some level of struggle with, but you have an extra level of struggle. You know that thing that's extra difficult for you, that thing that often is a stumbling block for you, right? Maybe other people have a difficulty with it, but particularly for you, you really have a struggle with this thing. So good sign that is one of the things that you need especially to fix here in this world, right? And how does that operate? So I'm going to give you an example. When I was in high school, there was this guy who I knew in high school, this guy could not walk out of his local 7-Eleven, right, his local corner shop, his local makolet, without taking a Doritos, without stealing a Doritos under his leather jacket. Right? Now, I say leather jacket in particular to emphasize the idea that the guy probably didn't need any money. You know what I mean? It wasn't because he was starving and he needed to steal the Doritos to eat. Right? The issue at hand was that that he was, this was his thing. He struggled with this in this area of stealing. Now, imagine if this guy, after a number of years of living this way for a long time, he decided, you know what, this is awful, right? Everyone knows stealing's wrong. Like, this is pathetic. I'm better than this. Why am I doing this stealing thing? And he decides, you know what, I'm giving it up. I'm going to become an honest person, right? And he struggles with himself in order to go ahead and to not steal. Every corner store makolet that he walks into, every other thing that he was cutting corners, right? And imagine he also opens a business, right? Imagine he opens a business, and he makes sure I'm going to be super honest, right? So he dots all the I's, he crosses all the T's, he doesn't cut any corners, he makes sure to pay everybody what they're supposed to be paid. He doesn't cheat anybody. He's totally honest with people that they should know what they're getting. Imagine this guy transforms himself in this way. Can you hear the idea? This guy is going to be the shining star, the shining example, the beacon of light, the example of thou shalt not steal. Where it says in the Torah, lo tignov, a picture of this guy is going to be in the Torah over there. Right? Why? This is going to be the guy who everyone else can point to and say, well, hold on a second. If he can do it, I can do it. Right? And this is the idea. This is how we can look at this as a tikkun. This is how we can look at this as a rectification. That means to say that that our obstacles are literally our opportunities. Right? That is where the growth is happening. That is where and when we go ahead and do that, is it comfortable in the moment? No. That's why we call it a Yetzer Hara. But is it tov? Is it good that we have that Yetzer Hara? That's the idea, right? The idea is to be able to, right? Just like in the weight room, you walk into that weight room, and in that moment when you're struggling against the weights that are on you, it says, if those weights are bad, they're pushing against me, I have to push against them. But then, at the end of the month, you go and pay for the next month that you should continue to stay in that gym. Right? Why? Because you understand the bigger picture also, that really, that Ra is really tov. That is really, that fact that it's there is good. Now, don't fall into that Yetzer Hara, right? Don't fall into the evil inclination. But the fact that you have it is for the purpose of being an opportunity to live out your soul self, your inner light, the little light of the infinite within you, to live that out into expression and into actualization, to live it out even into that struggle, even into that difficult situation, to shine forth in that unique area of darkness. Shine your unique light into your unique area of darkness. And then when you do that, you act as a beacon of light for yourself, for those around you, for the entire Jewish people, and for the entire world. My friends, when we go into life with this perspective, and we understand that really what is life about? Life is about moving forward, living out our potential into actualization, right? And very easy way to see this again is just look at the opposite. When we're not doing that, when we're sitting idle, or when we're not doing anything meaningful, so we start to feel lethargic and feel like a hollow version of ourselves. So recognize the difference. When we're involved in the same thing a dead person's doing, we're going to, God forbid, so then we feel a little bit dead. So then what's the opposite? The opposite is grab life by the horns. You know what tzaddik is called the tzaddik because from the Hebrew word tzadi, which is a hunter. The tzaddik goes and hunts out, seeks out mitzvah opportunities to do positive, opportunities to do good. So similarly, we all can be involved in searching that out. We all can be involved in at least seeing the moment in front of us and saying, okay, how can I raise this situation? How can I be proactive in this situation to bring forth goodness here in this world where it can go either way? Tov, so my friends, I think that is my time. I can't actually really see the time, but I think that is the time. I hope this is meaningful. I hope you gained something here. If anyone wants to be in touch, I'm easy to find on Instagram, Eli.the.Jew, Eli.the.Jew. You're welcome to reach out. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is relevant. Enjoy the rest of the festival. Many thanks to the DJ for rocking us out here. Hope you gained. Hope you enjoyed. Continue to shine your light.